Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing with you my favorite books of 2017. 2017 was a fantastic year of reading for me. I had some highs, I had some lows, but in general I think I had some truly amazing books that have stuck with me throughout the remainder of the year. So let's get going. And as always, I have compiled two separate lists of books here to kind of make it a little bit more fair and for me just to kind of separate things a little easier. The first best of list that I have, it's going to be books that were released literally in 2017, literally new releases. And then the second set of books that I'll be sharing with you guys is books that were released prior to 2017. So let's get started with my top 5 favorite books released in 2017. At number 5, I have Origin by Dan Brown, and this is the latest book in Dan Brown's Robert Langdon series. And in this installment, Robert Langdon, he is in Spain to attend this scientific conference of some sort that's being held by a former student of his. But of course, some chaos ensues at this meeting. And what this meeting is about, this former student of Robert Langdon's, this student is claiming that he has kind of solved life's mysteries and that he has answers, and more importantly, he knows where the future of humankind is going. So of course things start happening. Robert Langdon, he has to go on this treasure hunt, essentially, if you really he has to solve all sorts of symbols and clues. And yeah, this was a very thrilling and exciting addition to this particular series. I really enjoyed it. It had a very compelling mystery and a setup. And that's what you get with these Dan Brown books. You know, I think sometimes people take them overly seriously. You know, they're not meant to be, you know, overanalyzed, and you know, they're not literary wonders. You know, these are just simple books that tell a thrilling, exciting story, kind of make you think and ponder things, you know what I mean? And yeah, I just have a really fun, great time reading these books, and I really enjoy the character of Robert Langdon. At number 4, I have Volume 1 of Wires and Nerve by Marissa Mayer. And this is a graphic novel companion to Marissa Mayer's Lunar Chronicles series. And if you don't know what the Lunar Chronicles is about, they are sci-fi retellings of classic fairy tales. And yeah, like I said, this is a graphic novel companion taking place after that particular series. Yeah, kind of starting up a whole new little different story. And I adored this. You guys, I adored this. It follows Aiko, who's an android, and I liked that shift in perspective, because in the other books it was focusing on characters like Scarlet and Cinder and Cress and Winter, and yeah, Aiko was a supporting character in that series. So I like that she is getting her own set of books here. And yeah, I love this. Initially, the artwork was a little concerning for me. I initially didn't like the artwork, but it grew on me over time. And yeah, what's important is I just really enjoyed the story. I enjoyed being back in this world with these characters. And yeah, I definitely cannot wait for Volume 2, which is being released this year. At number 3, I have The Orphan's Tale by Pam Jenoff. And whew, you guys, this is a heartbreaking one. A heartbreaking but beautiful story. It takes place in Germany during World War II, and it follows this young woman who she got impregnated by a German soldier. She's kind of been exiled by her family. She's just kind of living this dull existence above a train station where she kind of just cleans it out and whatnot. So one day a train pulls up to this train station, and this young woman, she hears a bunch of babies crying, and she goes to the train only to discover that it's a bunch of Jewish babies who are about to be sent to a concentration camp to be executed, essentially. So yeah, this young woman, she does kind of, her first instinct, she manages to get into the train. She grabs one of the babies and flees into the forest, where she comes across this German circus. And in order to protect herself and the baby, she becomes part of the circus, and she trains to be a trapeze artist. And yeah, what the bulk of this novel is about, it's about this young girl's relationship with this older woman. This older woman is kind of the star of the circus. She also does trapeze, and yeah, she's the one training the young girl. So yeah, it's about their budding friendship, if you will, because at first they don't get along with each other, but they start to bond and develop a friendship over the course of the novel, and it's all very sweet. And yeah, this book, you guys, it is so good. I highly recommend it. At number 2, Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare, Book 2 in the Dark Artifices series. And oh boy, you guys, my god, talk about a crazy ending to this book. I need the 3rd book in my life right now. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this 2nd book, you guys. It was so good, just everything building and building and building, and just a lot of character growth and development and dynamics between everybody. And of course, this is book 2 in a series. I can't tell you much about it other than the fact that it takes place in Cassandra Clare's Shadowhunter universe, but over in Los Angeles. The books typically take place in New York, so this one changes over to Los Angeles, or this series rather changes over to Los Angeles. But yeah, book 2, you guys, amazing stuff. And at number 1, my favorite book of 2017 is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas, and this is the 3rd and final book in A Court of Thorns and Roses series. Whoo, Jesus, you guys, this 3rd book, when I did my review for it, I think the number 1 word that came to mind was satisfying. This book was definitely very satisfying, just emotionally satisfying. Yeah, I liked where the story went. I liked where the characters went. And yeah, I say that it's the 3rd and final book, but I think Sarah J. Maas is intending on perhaps writing a spin-off series. Maybe. I don't know. Either way, I'm definitely excited to read more from this world. I need more of it. And yeah, this series, if you don't know what this series is about, it takes place in a fantasy setting. There's humans on one side, fairies on another. Yeah, this kind of battle between humans and fairies. And yeah, this young girl, Feyre, kind of the key to everything, trying to unite the worlds of fairy and humanity together. And yeah, her love interest, Rhysand, you guys, perhaps hot stuff, the most hottest man ever. But yeah, I love this book, you guys. A very satisfying conclusion to this trilogy. So, like I said, that was my favorite books of 2017, books that were literally written in 2017. So next, I'm going to move on to my favorite books that were written prior to 2017 that I read this year. And I have 10 of them. At number 10, I have The Forbidden Queen by Anne O'Brien, and this is historical fiction telling the story of Princess Catherine de Valois. She was Princess of France, but then she married King Henry V of England. But if you know your history, King Henry V of England, he died relatively young, only providing Catherine with one child, the sole heir to the British monarchy. But yeah, she eventually marries a man named Owen Tudor, and yeah, once again, if you know your British monarchy, you know that the Tudors become a huge family and take the throne at some point. So yeah, I love this book. I love the story of Catherine de Valois, just a really remarkable woman, and yeah, the mother of the Tudor dynasty, essentially. At number 9, Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. And I do have this bind up here of Jurassic Park and the Lost World, and I didn't really want to include the Lost World. I did enjoy the Lost World. It's really good, but for the sake of my top 10 list here, I wanted to just include one of the books, so I chose Jurassic Park. So yeah, Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I think we've all seen the movie, haven't we? It's about a group of specialists who go to this mysterious island to discover that it's been populated by genetically enhanced dinosaurs. Dinosaurs that were extinct, but now they're back. So, yeah, I loved reading Jurassic Park because my only experience with it has been the movies. And yeah, very interesting to see the similarities and differences. And yeah, I really enjoyed Michael Crichton's writing style, you know, considering that this has a lot to do with science and DNA and some math. He makes it very simplistic and easy to follow, which is very important when you read a book like this. So yeah, Jurassic Park, guys. If you've not read it, you need to read it. At number 8, The Bourgeois Bride by Jean Calogridis. And this is historical fiction taking place the very late 1400s, the Italian Renaissance. And this follows Sancha of Aragon. And she marries into the very infamous Borgia dynasty. And if you know anything about the Borgias, they were a wacky family. Very wacky, notorious for murder, incest, poisoning people. And yeah, poor Sancha of Aragon has wrapped herself all into this. And yeah, it's just about her trying to find her place in this family, at some point trying to get out of the family once a lot of craziness happens. And yeah, I love the Borgias, and Sancha doesn't get a lot of love within historical fiction, so I was glad that there was a whole book written just about her and her story. At number 7, The Memoirs of Cleopatra by Margaret George, and this is historical fiction all about Queen Cleopatra. I love this, you guys. Oh my god, it's a freaking huge book. And the thing about Margaret George, she does have these humongous books, but there's just something about her writing that it never seems slow or boring. It always is rich in detail and plot and character. And yeah, Cleopatra, I know the basics about Cleopatra, but I've never entirely read about her life from start to finish. And that's what this book is. It's Cleopatra starting as a little girl all the way up until she commits suicide by snake. And yeah, her relationship with Mark Antony and Julius Caesar. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. And yeah, even though it's a big book, I never felt like it was slow or boring. It moved very rapidly for me, and I was just really excited to learn more and more things about Cleopatra that I had not known before. At number 6, I have Innocent Traitor by Alison Weir, and this is historical fiction about Lady Jane Grey, who became a 9-day queen until she was tragically beheaded by her cousin, Queen Mary Tudor. Lady Jane Grey was only like 16 years old. She was forced to be a queen. She was a pawn in the ambitions of other men. So yeah, poor girl. I love the story of Lady Jane Grey, you guys, because it is just so sad and tragic. Because it's not like she wanted to become queen, really. And yeah, I love this. Alison Weir just has a beautiful writing style. I love how she writes historical fiction. At number 5, I have Battle Royale by Koshin Takami. Woo! This takes place in a dystopian world under an authoritarian Japanese government. And of course, this book has often been compared to the Hunger Games, naturally. And it's about this group of high school students. They're all taken to this mysterious, isolated island, and they're all forced to battle to the death until there's only one standing person left. So yeah, very Hunger Games-esque. If you like the Hunger Games, you'll most likely definitely enjoy this, because this book came out prior to the Hunger Games. And yeah, this was an intense novel, you guys. It has definitely remained with me the whole year. Just very intense, very psychological, definitely all about self-preservation and what people are willing to do when self-preservation is a thing, you know, the things that you do, the person that you become in order to survive and to live. But yeah, very intense and psychological, very tragic. Whew, I get shivers thinking about it. At number 4, The Traitors Wife by Alison Pataki, and this takes place during the American Revolutionary War, and it follows Peggy Shippen, who was a wealthy upper-class girl, and she kind of got herself into some things during the war. She got involved with the British officer Major John Andre, but then she next got involved with the notorious Benedict Arnold. And yeah, she was kind of a major player during this war, shifting the war in certain directions. And yeah, a lot of people give Benedict Arnold and John Andre a lot of credit for certain things, but yeah, at the core is Peggy Shippen, who history sometimes forgets, and forgets her involvement in a lot of these big things. And yeah, I originally picked this book up because it was about Peggy Shippen, and I love the TV series Turn, Washington Spies. I love that series, and Peggy is a main character in that series, so I was like, I need to read some historical fiction about her. And yeah, I loved this book. Very well done. Alison Pataki is definitely becoming a new favorite author for me. At number 3, Voyager by Diana Gabaldon, book 3 in the Outlander series. And another satisfying book to this series, you guys. I had my concerns about this book initially, but once I got to the very end, it's like I found myself going, man, I love this book. I really enjoyed this. It's like once all of the pieces come together, all of the plot points, because there's a million plot points in this book, and at first you're kind of confused, like how does all this even interconnect with each other? But it does. Everything connects by the end of this novel, which is kind of the amazing thing. And yeah, book 3, like I said, this takes place 20 years after the events of book 2. Claire and Jamie have been unfortunately separated. They're living their separate lives, but Claire, she wants to go back. She wants to find Jamie. So that's kind of the bulk of this story. Will Jamie and Claire connect? What will happen if they do? And yeah, a lot of this book, it takes place with Claire. She's in the 1960s. And then yeah, there's a lot later in the book, a lot of traveling throughout the Caribbean, which is kind of cool. It's like Outlander turns into a little bit of Pirates of the Caribbean. But yeah, I love this 3rd book. I cannot wait for the 4th book. At number 2, The Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick, who, you guys, I was very tempted to make this my number 1 book, but there was another book that stuck with me for this entire year. So yeah, very difficult for me to put this in number 2 because I was tempted to put it at number 1. But yeah, The Silver Linings Playbook, it's about this man named Pat. He's been in a psychiatric hospital for a number of years. He's just now being released. He's going back home to live with his mom and dad. And yeah, this whole book is just his emotional journey and his mental illness problems and his determination to reconnect with his estranged wife. And yeah, he really doesn't have any idea how long he's actually been in the mental institute. He thinks he's kind of been in there a short amount of time, but in reality it's been much longer, and he's trying to fill in all of these missing gaps in his life. And yeah, why is his wife not speaking to him? And yeah, in the meantime, he starts connecting with this young woman named Tiffany, and she also has some mental health issues as well. And yet this is just an adorable book, you guys. It's a very sweet, adorable book, very honest and true and real and believable, and also very hilarious, weirdly enough. Even though this is a book that delves heavily into mental illness, it's very humorous and hilarious, but I think that's part of it that makes it so real and true and believable, I think. And my number 1 favorite book that I read this year in 2017 is A Teaspoon of Earth and Sea by Dinah Nahari. Woo, you guys, this, I'm not even joking. This book, it was the first book I read in January of 2017. And it was just amazing because I finished it. I immediately gave it 5 stars, and it has stuck with me the entire year. And all I've really wanted to do, I've been wanting to pick it right back up and read it again. And yeah, this is a book. It takes place in 1980s Iran, and it follows this young girl named Saba. And yeah, it's just her journey. She starts off as a child, she becomes a teenager, she becomes a young woman. It's just her story living in Iran, in this oppressive society. And yeah, she wants to have a voice, she wants to do things with her life, and she really dreams of traveling to America at some point. And yeah, she's romanticized America in her head. And yeah, there's this whole other side story as well, that she thinks that her twin sister and her mother have abandoned her, and she thinks that they left for America without her. So there's a kind of a big mystery there with that whole thing. And yeah, it's a story with her and her dad and just other people in her life here in Iran. And seriously, you guys, if you've not picked up this book, you need to read it. It is truly a remarkable story. It has some parts that are very difficult to get through, but you gotta get through it. It's part of the story. And yeah, I just left this book wanting to pick it up, wanting to read it again, and yeah, just thinking about it, and it's remained with me this entire time. So yeah, my favorite book of 2017. Yeah, guys. So that's it for my best of 2017. Like I said, I separated it, books that were written in 2017 and then books prior to 2017. I kind of just wanted to make it fair and balanced there with certain types of books. I read a lot this year, as you can see. And yeah, you guys, in the comments below, what were some of your favorite books that you read in the year of 2017? Let me know down below in the comments. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.